Audience, please stand by. I'm sure we'll be back for our normal broadcast momentarily. Abby, working on it, sir. My assistant is working at incredible speeds to re-enter us into all realities and forms of existence after that little hiccup. She's connecting intuition cables and no, she wouldn't touch those, not yet. That would cause deja vus of epic proportions. Do you think this is helpful? I'm only allowed to spectate. You're doing great, Abby. Truly, it's inspiring, audience. She's so clever putting all those different times and places back into their proper order. What? Knocked them out of order. You're doing great. That Bridger exists in so many different dimensions. I will tell the audience where we left off then. The mail, in its great wisdom, decided it was time for a meeting between Bridger, mail carrier to hell, heaven, fairyland, and several eldritch beings, and a Santa Claus. And our poor hero was making not the best impression. Nah, that's not what happened, boss. I mean, sir. Sorry, that's not what happened, sir. Well, we lost almost 2 weeks in 2 seconds, Abby. It had to be something. Why is the temporal stream so loopy? Crashing of all his hopes and dreams, sir. Bridgers? Miles. Oh no. Poor Lyle. Connection to Route 413, Jolly Finale. In 3, 2, 1. Lyle had started his service in the Cosmic Order as one of New Orleans' kind strangers, ghostly fellows who hang around the French Quarter and help the simple, the foolish, and the drunk, and keep them safe from the evils of the Louisiana night. But Lyle has a special spark of warmth that made him more memorable for his jokes and smile than his mysterious arrival and disappearance. This charm got him noticed by someone, and he entered service as an assistant Santa Claus very, very long ago, and without much postal experience. He toiled and worked, though if you asked him, he'd always laugh and say it wasn't work if you enjoyed every minute of it. Ha ha ha, that's so Lyle. So he was only about, in human terms, 150 years into the job, which is 622 years to be precise. Lyle takes great pride in being one of the top Santas, though he'd only just reached his half-millennium. But secretly, in his heart of hearts, he knew. Listen here, it is Bridger, right? I don't mind telling you the reason I got to be head of this racket. It ain't no secret. I keep up with the times. I live in the world still, and I see the dangers coming. You savvy? I understand. Some of the other fellows out here delivering these packages, they don't know what Amazon is. They don't know that the internet exists. They ain't hip to the existential dread of the average American teenager. Frankly, a couple of them don't even know what a teenager is. We badly need that new blood in here. You can't have my blood. What? Never mind. That's how I got to be a top performer. Living in the world, living in their world, and remembering how to bring joy to it. Bridger had expected to be disappointed by Santa. After all, there was no living man who could live up to the hype, to his nostalgia, to the years of desperate hope. Too many Christmas movies interrupted by his sister's angry screaming or melodramatic and clearly staged crying. Too many nights dreaming of snow and elegantly decorated pines when everything around him was tropical heat and palms. Nothing in reality could compete with Bridger's perfect image of Santa Claus. Especially not this short, skinny, middle-aged black man with a patchy gray beard. He wore a red and white floral-printed tank top that exploded under his cream-colored linen trousers. His straw hat was white and rimmed with red, and when he picked up his crumpled suit jacket and pulled it over his skinny arms, a pack of cigarettes several 100 years out of date were tucked into his pocket. "You smoke, son?" "No, sir." Not a thing about this Santa matched the fluffy man on the coat cap. "'Cause you're looking at them like a man who needs a smoke. And these babies never go out of style." "Huh? Been a half-full pack for... Hey, how old do you think I am?" "No, I know better than to guess someone's age. I understand your meaning with that half-empty thing. I have a bottle of water that's been half-empty for weeks, sir." Lyle had not expected to be disappointed by Bridger. Perfect attendance, good reviews. The LLV spoke highly of his cool under pressure. But as he sat down across the desk from the young man, he already knew Bridger Duc Hahn would not fit in well with his operation. It didn't match the vibe. "Sir, call me Lyle. Or Santa. Or Papa Noel. Just don't call me late for dinner." "Yeah, haha." Bridger knew whatever this was, just asking Santa, a Santa, to bring him back to the Aurora Borealis, nothing formal. He knew it wasn't going well. Lyle leaned against his desk and let out a huge laugh, bigger than his little body could contain. The full-throated happiness beamed comfort and joy, and made Bridger wish he hadn't turned that offer for a hug into an awkward handshake. Bridger wasn't the type to melt easily into social graces. I suppose I'm here to ask to get set back on the Aurora Borealis? I got lost." "Nah, you didn't. The mail brought you here. It insisted." Yes, sir. The mail gets a sense of when it's being well handled and cared for." Bridger ought to say something. Tell Lyle more about his trip through the void. Or maybe ask about his whole operation. He should not say what he's thinking, that Lyle is a fucking weird name for a Santa Claus. Or being confused, that Santa Claus was a job anyone could aspire to. Because the silence was heavy and Lyle's soft smile wasn't helping. "A 90-day
So did
review
you
ain't
start
nothing to
out
be
in-
scared of." "Sorry, you were saying?" No, boss, you go ahead. I insist." "I've already forgot what I was thinking. I should have guessed you were part of the post office, Santa." When Lyle laughed, it was like a hug for the brain. Even Bridger smiled along with it, like he'd made a joke. He stifled his own answering laugh, knowing it would only ruin the moment. "North Pole is the second largest annex in the cosmos, and I had to deliver most of the route myself. Having been at my job a couple of weeks, though I guess I have worked a little over 90 days when I think about it. I see how it's possible to get around the whole Earth in one night, and I'm not as impressed as I used to be. So, Jesus Christ, what dedication you must have, am I right? I mean, the entire globe. What does each workday take you? Over a year at least." "Well, time is weird, you know that." "Yes, sir. Besides, the globe-spanning trip is only one night a year, and the literal presents, down the chimney package delivery, are very rare these days, and mostly symbolic. Little favors to certain well-deserving family who get real shorted on comfort and joy and peace throughout the year." "Yeah, the elves sort of explain." "Oh, good, fair enough. Let's grab a cocoa. You do drink cocoa, right?" And head out to the sleigh. "Hey, I actually didn't..." "Sure. They showed you the sled, too?" "Yes, sir. No wonder you ran out of cookies." "Though I didn't think that was cosmically possible." "Yeah, me neither." "Did they show you the gators?" "Sorry, the what?" "Papa Noel delivers his presents in a pirogue. Come on, I'll introduce you to the boys." Followed Lyle back to the front office where the rabbit woman and Chad were both listening to the conversation and both looked concerned and confused. Lyle was talking about his gators, rambling on a jolly dialogue about that fella in the quarter who didn't ask no questions, just sold him all the catfish who could catch, and so he ignored the elf and his secretary. Bridger sensed that he made Lyle uncomfortable, so he tried to smile, but it did not help. He had a job to keep up with the man, which he had not had to do in a very, very long time. He Keep the gators under the smelting. They don't like the elves much, but the boys are sweet as sugar-kissed biscuits.
Say, did you get to see the karma smelting, Bridger?
I did. I didn't understand it, but it looked pretty impressive. You distribute karma once a year? No, every day. Every day, all day. Mostly, we've outsourced Christmas to the parrots.
Santa's laughter roared down the hallway, but it seemed significantly less genuine. His delivery was off, darkened perhaps by his audience's seriousness. Or Lyle.
So, karma on its own is pretty unfair. Good vibes just get jammed up in the hordes, you know. Disneyland, birthday parties, Comic-Cons. So we mine those events and redistribute them positive vibes out into the world. Negativity, of course, always makes its way back to its maker, but we put it on the least harmful route. That's cool. We go around the globe every night. Of course, we don't have to be as precise as your operation. Second largest annex in the cosmos, you said. Sure. They handle all the miracles upstairs, including the miracle of life. We just do with joy and peace here. Bridger had absolutely nothing to say, and no idea why his mail had brought him here. Especially if it was his 90-day review. Santa's twinkle of mischief was lost on him, but he felt an annoying twinge of longing. He couldn't get away with delivering something as precious as joy and peace. His packages and letters. He was lucky he'd even gotten a chance to see this place. Clearly, it was just a weird fluke. Santa jogged Bridger through the huge mail processing plant where thousands of elves worked on huge machines to sort their DPS. Rarefied karma looked like shaved gold flakes that Bridger saw on fine French desserts. It was loaded directly into sleds as big as mansions. Only a dozen looked like they were being used. Bridger tried to think of a way to ask if they were hiring drivers. Maybe if there was a world where he could transfer to this annex. But all he managed to say was, "Parking lot must get crazy, since the engines are living reindeer and alligators." Santa cringed. It was jarring. Lyle had not frowned in decades. Actually, we think of them as our co-workers. Animals? No, I mean the cosmic entities. Lyle's gators, which were the usual size for alligators, though of course they were something much older wearing alligator masks, lived in an underground swamp. They were fat, lazy lizards who really only did work one day out of the year, and they'd been doing it for so long they could pull the how do I say that?
Pirogue. Marvelous. Abby, what is a pirogue?
A flat-bottomed canoe, sir.
Fat, lazy lizards that could pull the boat in a sugar days.
Alligators slouched up onto the shore as soon as they heard Santa's laughter and flopped over each other, trying to be close to Lyle and the flat-bottomed boat Bridger had just been tasked with carrying down the slope. "Stone, I'll see, Nicolette. To me, the rest of you, back the hay off." "You want to give my good boys their treat, Mr. Hahn?"
Liver treats to alligators. Sure.
3 wobbly-legged gators lumbered over and pawed the ground near Santa with open mouths and lolling tongues and big warm eyes. Smaller than the reindeer and much scalier, but just as eager to please. Santa stroked each snout affectionately. "Yes, my good boys are going to the Aurora. Ain't y'all so happy? Little skywalk for my good boys." Looking away from the teeth and scales, Bridger put down the red-painted pirogue Santa had told him to deliver to the water's edge. One of the gators, the sparkly white one with eyes glowing like a kerosene lamp, nuzzled at Bridger's satchel, trying to get at the dog treats inside his pocket. Or else, trying to eat the LLV. "Don't hold out, mailman. Give my good boys a treat." "We prefer mail carrier these days, and I don't have anything." "No lies now. Nicolette smells a treat. Better give it to her or she'll knock you right on over." "It's dog treats for the hellhounds." "Hellhounds." "Yeah, and sometimes a cat god." "Oh shit, you mean it." Very carefully, Bridger tried to push the alligator away. It did not work.
Bridger had never been pinned by an alligator before, but he was not surprised to find out it was heavy and uncomfortable.
Told you. Nicolette, back up.
And Nicolette, with a disappointed alligator sound, pumped the hay up.
Thank you. Now, you go on and give them alligators a treat. They live on beignets and pralines all December. I'm sure they'll survive a little dog treat. So Bridger reached into his pocket and he pulled out the baggie of treats and took out 3 so as to be fair to the other 2. They became my... Ugh. There's catfish. Say, what'd you say your annex was again? Oh, I'm from the AC Annex, Atlantic City, New Jersey. Oh, AC. Don't that one go to hell? Yep. And past some dead gods and I think into fairyland. These alligators are kind of sweet. Not scary at all. Whoa.
Lyle cocked his head and stared at Bridger, completely baffled by his presence. Bridger pretended he didn't notice,
and kept feeding chunks of catfish to the Christmas gators. He was used to feeling out of place, but it had been a while since someone as overwhelmingly good and pleasant and warm as Santa Call Me Lyle Claus had balked at him with that much confusion. Takes a special kind of person to drive through hell every day, you know. Someone strong. Survivor. Someone too broken, he meant. Someone too hard for this operation. Bridger was a little proud of the compliment. Disappointed by the implications. Nah, I just sort of fell into it. Fell into it? Man, that means the fates themselves chose you. The fates said, this person has a path and he needs help to get on it. Ain't no other way to join our particular calling without falling into it. One of the gators flowed out of the water. Far more than 9 needed to pull a sled. They surrounded Bridger and his treat baggie, climbing over each other, eager for a catfish steak. Santa watched unconcerned and confused as the young man stoically fed the gathering of gators like they were pigeons at a park.
Joyless, without a shred of jolliness, as if he took no pleasure in feeding the big scaly puppies, in surviving their affection. When's the last time you laughed? I mean, genuinely. I'm not sure. For example, when I was in school, Lord, it must have been centuries ago now, I was taking an exam, and it was a high-pressure situation, segregation being what it was, but I was laughing in the middle. This is the way some question was worded. You ever done that? Bridger realized with a sinking dismay he was killing Santa's vibe, disrupting his joy and comfort. Golly, my postmaster told me to try for it, but I'm not the jolly sort. No, young man, you are not. Wait, I got it! We used to have the Krampus run out of this department, but then we exported that work over to them fellas near Howling Lane. Oh, Howling Lane, yeah, I delivered to that neighborhood. Exactly. That's what happened then, yes. A broody young fella like you, the mail must have been trying to get you in here for Krampus work. Bridger didn't like the sound of that. Nothing he knew about the Krampuses sounded like decent, respectable postal work. Besides that, the people he'd met on Howling Lane were only human adjacent, and he'd been holding on to his humanity with both hands, digging his nails into his sanity. He'd rather stick with delivering the mail. Good for you. You do that. Santa clapped his shoulders, but his tone very much indicated he doubted Bridger could avoid Krampus work, hold on to his humanity, or keep his sanity. How about I bring you back to them Northern Lights then, so you can get on with your route? Sounds good, boss, thanks.
Unless you want that hot cocoa.
Bridger very much wanted that hot cocoa.
Knowing this wasn't a role he could aspire to, knowing he was taking up too much of Santa's precious time, or worse, was making Santa sad and confused. No, I'm good. I ought to finish my route. Her visit wrapped up without much more. Lyle brought him back to the Aurora Borealis and let him know that his 90-day review would come in the mail shortly. He added that he would keep an eye on him, see how Bridger developed. Bridger went back to his route and finished it. They're doing something wrong.
Excuse me?
I don't know what it is. The reality continuum is fine, so there's no wrongness, but that can't be the way it goes. Are you saying that I'm lying about what I see? He just can't fail. Can he? I don't see why not. Humans fail all the time. Just look again. Look closer, please.
Sly.
Mail carrier to hell didn't notice them. Lyle watched very closely as he gave the catfish steaks to the alligators. There was an explosion of joy, mostly from the animals. Sparky's nose lit up brilliantly. Nicolette, Gaston, Pierre pranced. But from the man himself, only a shy little flare, like some flame, trying to ignite in the middle of a snowstorm and almost catching, for it was snuffed out by some icy chill. Tiny tentacled being slipped out of Bridger's pocket and loomed behind Santa Claus. See, like I said, calm under pressure, competent, professional, good with animals, super generous, maybe for hell, and heaven and fairyland and some of the eldritch communities.
Look.
See that spark? I can kind of make it out, but Rand, it's not enough. Being made out of pure darkness, crunched one of the stolen cookies and refused to share it. But they did slow time so that Bridger was frozen, with a tiny little nervous smile on his face and his hand half inside an alligator's mouth. He does the route perfectly. Never had a complaint about his manners from anyone, even the Morai. But there's more to it than that here. Alligator's face moved up slightly, and the tongue wasn't going for Bridger's hand anymore, but for his face. A tiny trace of Bridger's smile flattened and turned around as he began to say the word no. I don't think there's a jolly bone in that boy's body. Postmaster stuffed a cookie in their mouth. I didn't recommend him. The mail did. Why? Lyle's cherry lips twisted with a thought, and he studied Bridger in that shard of slowed time as the alligator's tongue moved nearer to the human's expression of resigned horror. The little spot of darkness shrugged, as if they didn't care. He must have the spark somewhere, a little flame that gets fanned when he delivers packages. That's what the mail must have sensed. Everyone feels good when they give someone a gift.
The mail is not a gift. Not everyone can make people feel good when they receive their mail.
Right, okay, I guess he has that talent, but there's something... I got it. No love in his heart. The tip of the gator's tongue finally touched Bridger's teeth, while the two of them watched silently. The tongue scraped up his mouth, his nose, over his hair, and licked the mail cap right off his head. Bridger never smiled, never laughed. He just bore it with the disgust of a man who had not been able to alter his fate. Hal shook his head at the humiliation, the shame, and the lack of humor coming from the handsome young man.
No love?
Sorry, but I just can't see it. He won't fit in around the workshop. No love in his heart. Not a jolly bone in his body. We didn't recommend him. It's just a certain culture here, and if you are trying to convince us, we don't need convincing. No, I suppose you don't. Yeah, I'm trying to convince myself. Doesn't matter. Hell never had it so good. We don't deserve him.
Lyle looked over at the spot of darkness, surprised to hear them speaking so tenderly about anything. Really?
Bridger's boss nodded, only half paying attention, watching the slow-motion scene with the alligator and the human. Colette was getting frisky again. Might not be jolly or have any love in his heart, but he's good. Lyle wondered, when was the last time this postmaster had laughed? If it was possible for an entity like this postmaster to laugh, the world would survive it if an entity like this postmaster laughed.
Well, let's keep an eye on him, see how he develops. You handle that 90-day review now. You said it all just now, friend. What is that reindeer doing to Bridger? Is that legal?
Hey, what now? Oh no, Nicolette! That is not what we do to guests. Bad girl, you are on the naughty list.
After Lyle startled back into the same time stream as
Bridger, to save the poor man from Nicolette's advances, he thought it best to get that kid a cup of cocoa and take him out on a more traditional sleigh ride. Though in the end, Bridger did get to ride in a neat little red sleigh pulled by 3 reindeer. A little 2-seater with a few bells jangling on the side and room for maybe 2 or 3 relays of mail in the back. Bridger hoped Santa would spin the sleigh through the clouds to make a snowman, or drive the reindeer as fast as they could go into a loop-de-loop. But the ride was orderly, efficient, befitting a professional driver, even with a Santa who lit a cigarette as soon as he sat down in the driver's seat. Bridger felt this was more than a dream come true. This was a dream resurrected. No, it's weird. I feel like I remember something there's no way I could remember. What was that? When I was a little kid, like really little, I saw the American GIs I always spied on, sitting in a circle, passing around a red hat and a white beard. I'd been laughing and drinking and singing, recited a poem about a fat man in a flying sleigh delivering presents. Sounds formative? Yeah, but man, I was born in the 90s. I just remember them making up. It was the night before Christmas in old Vietnam, something about napalm.
Well, shit.
I mean, I didn't understand it, but I remember it. I wanted to see the snow and reindeer, and to be closer to a world where there was that kind of gift giving and bellies shaking like bowls of jelly. But you said you weren't even born yet. Time is weird. I stayed there too long, watching the GIs. I saw something in them. They were just like the older kids in the village, just people. I went home and I lied to my mother. It was the first time I ever did that. It was the night before Christmas in old Vietnam. Not an asshole was stirring. Keep it quiet and calm. That's what it was. Sitting in a sled next to Santa Call Me Lyle Claus. Hunter knew this memory could not have been real. He was barely 30. He hadn't even been alive during the Vietnam War. He certainly hadn't been a child soldier. Time was weird for him, but time didn't work like that. I mean, audience, you and I know that time does work like that. It's just that his human mind can't comprehend the way the rest of him has been squished and folded through time and space. Probably by that bitch of a mother. Mr. Lyle, I want to apologize for the delays I caused you today. I'm sure you're very busy, and I don't know what got into the mail to bring me here. No worries, man. Bridger sighed, annoyed with himself for being a Krampus. Blue, green, and white streaks of the aurora borealis glowed brighter and brighter as they neared the celestial road. Bridger shifted in his satchel and felt his lunchbox inside. His mama had never let them leave traditional French desserts for Santa. She'd always insisted on her bun cha. Sled skidded down from the borealis with a gentle, icy slide. The LLV revved in his pocket and drove out. It returned to its full size by the time it touched down on the cosmic freeway. Santa's laughter shook the sled. "Oh, spirited one you got there." "That's an old bitch, but we get on all right." Peter was about to step out and get on with his route, then paused with his hand in his lunchbox. Maybe it wasn't inappropriate to give this jolly old man a gift, and everyone had accepted the cookies so happily. It was probably a gift-giving work culture. Plastic sweat under his fingers. Cold meatballs and sticky rice was a strange gift. Too smelly, too weirdly flavored. He ought to just go and not make this any more awkward. "Thanks for the ride, sir." "Anytime. Oh, here, let me give you this just in case." Santa jerked something off the sled.
It looked like a tiny silver bell until Bridger took it in his free hand. Then he realized it was one of those kitschy things you stick on a dashboard. It was stupid and cheap. Instantly, Bridger knew he'd treasure it forever. Well, there will lead you to the North Pole, so if you ever get lost, jingle that a couple times and your mount will be able to find the Aurora Borealis all by itself instead of, the way you got here. Strange darkness a jolly man could not name. A suitable place for a mail carrier on the path to becoming a Krampus. Weren't they the ones who ate bad kids and had long anteater tongues? I don't love that for Bridger. Bridger did not love that for himself. Hell in his free hand jingled lightly, and Bridger smiled. And before he could second-guess himself, he pulled out the bento. And I want to thank you for the ride. Anyways, this is kind of dumb, but my mom always had us leave out. I mean, it's no milk and cookies, but... Poncha! Oh man, I love these! I'm glad. Mom had us make them with her when we were kids, and leave out a plateful for Santa, but I don't think anyone in the world did that but us. Santa blew on the meatballs, and they steamed and sizzled as if they were fresh from the oven. No, I remember. I appreciated it every year. You know how crazy it gets in tech. People flying around on carts, them lion fellows, all the hearths and kitchen gods. They still let us bring real toys in those days, but all the good vibes. Man, did they get eaten up on the route, usually around Saigon. I always saved a little something, though. I always tried, little dude. I always appreciated the meatballs. Lyle's excited outburst, this spontaneous memory, filled Bridger with a strange bitterness. As if this so-called Santa had made up those details just to make him feel better. Bridger blamed himself that it had the opposite effect. I know my mom is the one who ate the buncha. Santa looked at Bridger with confusion, chewing one of the meatballs, and held his hand up to cover his mouth politely. I'm sorry, what? I know you didn't eat the meatballs because I saw my mom. Santa laughed and laughed and laughed. Bridger blushed and got out of the sleigh and started towards the LLV. Finally, Santa stopped laughing. My God, you've been delivering mails to devils and dead gods. You've driven the road to hell and back. You have seen how the universe accounts for and distributes karma. You are currently standing on the Northern Lights. Santa's eyes twinkled with mirth and suppressed giggles. And you think, just because your mother ate the actual meatballs, that Santa didn't get your gifts? Well, I guess it's the thought that counts. Damn, Skippy! Lyle watched the LLV putter away and ate his meatballs. There was a big part of him that wanted to follow after the little truck and snatch its poor broken driver out of the seat and just bear hug him forever. He realized now it wasn't that the boy had no love in his heart. All the love he had was just bound up in jungle vines, snarled like barbed wire. It tried to get out, it really did. But the effort left it bloody and bruised and so very, very tired. There was still enough. Burst a little pure joy in every bite of meat. Oh hey, your postmaster should have your 90-day review in the mail any day now. I'll keep on him about it. Thanks. We gonna keep an eye out on you. See how this develops. And Santa laughed in a way that was in no way ominous. I'm sure. Well, that's another world saved, doomed, and or slightly weirder than we found it. Either way, you made it!
And when you're ready to plunge back into the abyss, we'll be here, lurking, whispering.
If you liked today's episode, tell a friend. If you hated today's episode,
you can find us on Substack, YouTube, or wherever you scream into the void about podcasts. Drop us a comment, send us your thoughts in all caps. We love that. You're charming.
And hey, if you want to help keep these stories weird and our tea hot, you can throw some coins our way on Substack. It keeps the lights on. Literally, Lane is writing in the dark.
Paperback Radio, no ads. professional narrators, and humanish weirdos telling you strange tales week after week. After week, after week, after week.
We told you to stay in the back room, Lizzie.
Nah.
Thanks for wandering through the chaos with Paperback Radio.
See you next time.
This is what a crocodile sounds like. It's like meditating in the water, and it's like, I am the log, I am the log.